Wow, it's a beach in front of my shop. Yeah, and by the way, if you've been a long-term uh, person around my shop, let's put it that way, you would have noted that that used to have tire racks all the way out to about there. And that had a tire rack all the way out to like there. So those days are over. As a matter of fact, that stuff is actually going to be gone shortly too. So anyway, we have a beach. Why do we have a beach? Stay tuned. Well, what do we got cooking at Rooster's Restoration this week? There's always something new. There's actually going to be several things going on, but we're going to go down the boat trailer restoration path this week because there's some custom paint involved and there's some other stuff. Now, this trailer, this axle is restored. I do have a bearing that needs some attention, and I'll probably get to that at some point, but I need to have something to put this into, which happens to be that guy. That was initially steel blasted, but the porosity of the blast was so ridiculous, I had to reblast it with sand, which knocks down, obviously, the blast profile, because the blast profile was so aggressive, it was insane. The next thing is I'm going to prepare these two outer pieces. They're going to be sanded really smooth. Now, I normally wouldn't even care, but this is going to be a boat that's going to go to boat shows coming up, probably by June, which I think I sent him that information for the White Bear Lake Boat Show. But this is Tony's dad's boat, or was his boat. It's Tony's boat. So anyway, there's going to go right down a whole huge path of boat trailer, boat restore, everything with the boat, inside, outside, transom, the whole shebang, blue metal flake, is all being redone on the deck. It's really going to be involved. So there's the chassis of it, and here's the tongue, and these are about to be prepped and inside my paint booth. And for those of you that remember, there used to be a blue tarp across this, and there was a huge pile of crap over here, and now there's a bench, and it's just so different. Tony sees this video, he's going to go like, holy shit, you really tore the place apart. You have no idea. I mean, we really tore this place apart. There's still that. That's my next project to sort, is that pile of stuff. A lot of boat stuff. So what I learned about benches over the last 40 years is it's a great plate to put this and that, or George Carlin said, if you got 24 odds and ends on the table and 23 of them fall off, what do you got, an odd or an end? Kind of a good point. So, little decor for the wall, you know. There's actually a donated Dodge D50 tailgate from my son, too. Yeah, so we're doing some decorative things. Don't pay any attention to this. This is sorting, and all this stuff is going somewhere. It can't stay here. It's the bar time thing. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I was going to bring up. This is my new engine build bay, where I work on blower motors and do engine rebuilds, cleaning parts and putting things together and that sort of thing, so I can get after these guys and get them in their forever homes. That one and that one, I have stuff ready to have them installed. So, but that's going to come all apart, so there'll be a complete video on that particular engine as well. But I'm sidetracked, I'm off point here, and I had to go do something. And get some lights on, because we're going to go blue. Electric blue, actually. So all these components hanging in the paint booth are all going to be painted tonight with electric blue, and I will probably try to do a video of me painting them, I guess. These are all pieces that go on the trailer, and the trailer body is going to be white with the blue accents, And then the fenders, we're going to do something really cool. That's going to be a video all by itself. I am quite positive. Next thing going out to be sandblasted is this midsection, Mercury midsection. That's going to be going out to be cleaned up and prepped for paint. So, yes, snowmobile hood. I don't want to talk about it. We're going to do that in another video because I do a lot of glass work, and that's going for an old friend of mine. Like I said, we'll talk about that when we get there. Anyway, so yeah, even the booth changed. I mean, I can get the whole car in here now and just take out the racks, and I can do that. And that's been a long time since that has happened. It was always stuff. So don't even want to talk about it. Even the threshold, built this and did the concrete work, and so many changes at the shop. It's too many to even begin to talk about. But again, kind of off point. And this is 5 minutes and 32 seconds you'll never get back in your life. But those parts tonight, blue. Well, that's a wrap for the blue stuff for now. This is extremely wet and it's still got to flow out because this clear really flows out a lot as it cures. So these will be really pretty. Oh, I just ran my head into that stupid bar again for the 47,000th time today. Duck, fool! Well, anyway, so you get an idea of what, yeah, this is going to be like wet glass eventually. And that's how I like to shoot it because I don't wet sand and buff much of anything. I just do it right to begin with and you don't have to go through all those processes. Plus, it's certain jobs you do. That's just the way it is. But anyway, the winch stand still has to go blue, but that's this portion of this dog and pony show. And these are so pretty. They're just pretty. I'm sorry, but the pearl in this just goes dark and light and yeah, nice. So I guess we get to shoot white yet today. Well, the epoxy primer is on, but I'm sure you can't see this because just the way the lighting is, but there was so much pitting in here and I tried to grind it all out, but there's little grinder marks, so I need to sand this and flat sand that and flat sand up in this area. And to give you an idea of how bad the rust was, that's what I had to grind out. Now this is hidden underneath the main body of the trailer, so you wouldn't see it anyway, so why spend labor hours on it? Doesn't make sense. The rest of it turned out really nice in the epoxy primer, but certain areas, and this is a line I put in here because that is where the winch stand stops, okay? So the winch stand goes in this area and here, up to that line. So I had to make a mark so I knew where I was going when I put it back together, and that will be very not noticeable with the bolt over the top of it. So, long story short, this needs more attention. This trailer tongue has seen some things. Ford pickup truck bumper. So I was told. Well, it's painted. Didn't see any point to showing the other 2 coats I put on this, but I don't know if you can, I don't even know how my camera can do justice to what I just did here, but for a boat trailer tongue, it's way overdoing it in my opinion, but let's see if I can try to get the light across it somehow. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, if you just kind of follow the light, it's pretty freaking smooth for single stage. Yeah, it turned out, this is where all the really bad spots were all up in here. And they look beautiful. Yep. So that's that. Frame next. Just a quick little tech tip for those of you at home that like to do your old home paint job and have managed to spill slobber with a full gallon of paint, have managed to slobber paint all over your counters, spill it all over hell trying to get it in a mixing cup, pour too much out, all that stuff, and just create all kinds of havoc. I have the solution for you. Go to your grocery store and buy a plastic soup ladle. Excuse me, I said label. Anyway, plastic soup ladle. Dip it in, pull it out. In my case, it was a dip and a half, and out of this full gallon, and I didn't spill a drop. Look at the side of that, see? Didn't spill anything. So, tech tip. It's okay, we're getting ready to shoot the frame here. Well, actually prep the frame. Because the outer rails are going to need to get sanded. Now, let me explain something. This frame was so bad from rust, pretty much everywhere, that I made the judgment call, because it would have taken me like 4 hours to sandblast this thing with the equipment that I had. So I sent it off to get media blasted with steel shot media blast, and that is extremely aggressive. It really tears up the metal, and so that's something that I made a judgment call on this, because it was $60 to blast the whole frame and all the components, and I would have spent $400 of the customer's money doing it that way. It still had to come back and be blasted again to tame down the so it's smoother, okay? Because this was really tore up. I mean, really tore up. And then you bring it back and you what I call scuff blast it. So you're going to sandblast it again and give it this less aggressive profile. Then the outer parts of this frame will all be DA sanded in 100 or in 80 grit and go directly into epoxy primer. And epoxy primer self-leveling, put 2 coats on, so it pretty much fills, you know, it sticks like you wouldn't believe. The other thing I'm going to point out, okay, another thing we had to do is, this has been talked about a million times, is this is the old thing that had to be saved, and it's in several videos before. Tony wanted this saved because of the date that is on this, January 76. So that's important. I'll get to that later. So anyway, this gets DA'd and gets feather edged. So this will basically get repainted just like you're going to paint any other car. So that'll actually be worked down to probably like 240, and this will all be taped off. Now I want to show you this. This is what happens when your skin touches bare steel. That is a palm print and a handprint from someone, I don't even know who, because me and my kid are the only ones to touch this thing, and I don't know who in the hell touched this thing, but we wore rubber gloves, so I don't understand how that even happened, but I'll just grind all that off and that'll disappear. So pretty much just wanted to show how this frame looks now. It was far better to do 2 hours of sandblasting with all the components than charge the guy that kind of money for $60. We got it blasted. So I saved Tony roughly, well, at bare minimum, $120 to $200 by making judgment call to send it out and having it media blasted. it's, I mean, steel shot blasted, I should say, not media. There's various medias. But this is the way to do it. Also, powder coated frames, every powder coated frame goes out and gets steel shot blasted, period. I don't even mess with those things. They are a pain in the ass to get the powder off, but this is an older trailer. The problem with this trailer is it just had incredible rust issues everywhere. It was unbelievable, and there's no way I could do that good of a job is what they did. I'm pretty impressed. So, anyway, just quick. Yeah, I didn't even want to spend 4 minutes doing this because the video is so long, but you get the idea. Primer next. Take 2. Okay. So, this is all sanded now in 80 grit, and the sides are all sanded in 180, so they'll come out really smooth and beautiful looking. And any rust or weld boogers, like there was a huge weld booger here that got ground away. Excuse me, what I mean by weld booger is like that. Only like a big glob of it, like out in the middle of everywhere. Stuff like that, you know, and then just pour welds on the edge where it was all slobbery. I took care of all that. This has been all sanded, and this will go into fine line tape, the border, and then masking tape over this, and this is all good to go now. It's all simplistic from this point. Like I said, the whole trailer was done in 80 grit and then 180, except the main beams. I see no purpose for them to be sanded whatsoever unless there was some kind of rust or contamination that didn't get caught in the first 15 times of going over this damn thing. But what I saw in making this, or right before I made this, was this. Somewhere along the way, something dug into the side of this trailer really nastily, and that needs to get completely ground out of there, and that's going to be a bit of a process to get rid of it, but that's got to go. Okay, that's going to, if I put paint over that, it's going to magnify 100 times for what you can see. So, other than that, we're pretty close. And I'm not going to update anything more on this until it just plain and simple starts going in a primer. 1/2 hour later, like it never happened. All done.